Hey everyone, Robert Ferringo here once again with your Friday football betting bonanza with my main man, Raphael Esparza. We are both from Docs Sports. If you have not heard of Doc Sports, where the hell have you been? Honestly, docsports.com. Go over there, check it out. It is the all-star team of professional sports handicappers, the absolute best in the business. Raphael, how are you doing this Friday?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Hanging in there, man. Excited for another big weekend of football. I think that this is one of the toughest weeks of football of the entire year. Still don't have a lot of data in the NFL. In college football, you're getting to that weird time where our team's starting to look ahead to conference play. What's their motivation level at when, North Carolina A&T is coming to town this weekend. What are some of the things that you look at in general when handicapping in this week of the college football season?
That normally weeks 2 and 3 in college football, you want to call it, is a tough one, but it's also a pass one because there's a lot of big favorites in this one, a lot of bad matchups that I can't believe they're playing these games. So for me, I'm actually looking forward to the weeks when conference starts. Is when it's like I said, it's really hard to motivate Wisconsin and New Mexico State or games like that where really don't mean anything, where it's a horrible spreads. Oklahoma, Nebraska. I mean, what's Nebraska going to be like with no Frost? They couldn't even wait till October 1st to fire him. They fired him now. It's just, for me, it was a hard to handicap this college football schedule and hard to find four games for us to really talk about because a lot of these spreads were really, really big ones.
Well, we do have four games that we're going to get to, and I think that they're the four best games on the board, frankly. Before we get to that, I do want to point out that you can go to Doc Sports, docsports.com, or you can click the link above or below and get $60 free to use towards any handicapper in any sport for any package that you'd like. Now, for instance, we have $30 top games. These are individual best bets from each handicapper. So if you take advantage of that free $60, you can get two free top games from some of the best sports football betting minds in the industry. All right, Raphael, first game that we're going to talk about is BYU at Oregon. Now, we were talking about the Cougars last week. You and I both liked them, and they managed to pull out a home win. But now they're going on the road, and it seems like a lot of the public likes and is buying into BYU and is kind of selling this Oregon team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I know Oregon got at least a bad taste out of their mouth of the beatdown at Georgia, but it was against East Washington University or something. Like they put up 70 points on them. I don't understand so much love on BYU. I know a lot of these BYU lovers are probably looking who they played, Baylor, overtime victory, easy win against USF, but they're on the road now, and it's a tough place to go to Eugene and squeak out a road victory. I kind of like the Ducks. I just didn't like that number of where it's at. I hated that half a hook on there, so I want to just sit back and pass because I knew USC and Utah were going to be the two teams I liked in the Pac-12. I thought Oregon, I don't want to say rebuild, but a new head coach and some of a new system, especially on the defensive side. I want to kind of look throughout the whole season and see if I was going to play them or fade them. This is a game I can't wait to watch because I want to see how they actually do. All right, yeah, they rebounded last week, but this is a really rebound game for them after that beatdown of Georgia. I want to see how they play. I lean towards the Ducks, but I want to sit back. I don't like that 3.5. If it was 3 or lower, I might have been quacked up.
I really like the Ducks in this one, actually. Tell me if I'm wrong here and how I'm looking at this. This
You're
line
wrong.
is kind of a red flag to me. First of all, that it's 3.5. It's almost like they're baiting action on BYU, teasing you with that extra half a point. Oregon got humiliated in that week 1 game against Georgia, but they're favored now against another top 15 team. We're catching BYU in a little bit of a letdown spot after their big overtime home win, revenge win over Baylor. And just like we talked about last week with BYU, how these wacky Mormons are just a completely different animal when they are playing at home. Kind of the same thing with Oregon, right? Like, they're tough to beat in Autzen Stadium. Do you feel like I'm on the right path here with this, that the more I dig in on this game, forgetting about matchups and this and that, just the more that you look at this game from those factors, kind of point towards Oregon, no?
Oh yeah, like I said, it's a very tough place to go to Eugene and steal a W. And that home field is going to be rocking and rolling normally because BYU travels really well. It's not like BYU. There's not going to be no bicycle helmets in the stands. They get a lot of fanfare everywhere they go. Again, it's just a really really hard game for me to pick. I like the way your mind's thinking. If I do play it, I would have been on Oregon, but I wanted three or less. I didn't want to take that 3.5. The Ducks is the right side. And then after I saw everyone was all over BYU, that made me look at it. Hopefully I can get that better number. It is a 3:30 game, so maybe the afternoon chasers who got their butts whooped in the morning maybe push this number down. So I'm going to wait to see. But BYU is the side I'm looking at. I just didn't want to lay that number.
Another game that has kind of split action that I'm seeing and hearing within the industry. And I've seen some people that have very, very strong opinions on both sides of this next game is Penn State going down to Auburn. Penn State, 3-point road favorite going down into SEC country. I know some people that really, really love Penn State and are all over them this week. I know some people that are all over the home underdog in this one in Auburn. Raphael, what are you looking at?
Well, someone who dislikes the SEC, because I still think if you take Alabama out, you have a higher version of the Sun Belt, which the Sun Belt is really good right now. So that's probably equal to all that. But yeah, I like Penn State on this spot, just not because I just dislike Auburn or SEC, but I just think they're the better team. And I know games are not played on paper, but if you kind of look at what's on paper, I think Penn State's defense is better. I think it's a slight edge to maybe Auburn's quarterback play a little bit to Penn State, because it seems like every time I get Penn State that quarterback play nudge, someone gets hurt or someone throws a pick or something like that. So, but I just think the defense is going to be able to control the tempo, and if they can shut down the Auburn's running game, it's going to be very, very interesting. I lean towards the Nittany Lions.
I agree with most of what you said. I completely disagree about the quarterback situation, though. The Auburn's quarterback situation is a little sticky right now. Finley keeps turning the ball over.
Well, yeah.
With Penn State, that's the one thing that I kind of like about them is Clifford is a real steady hand. We saw what he did on that game-winning 80-yard drive at Purdue in their first game. He's the one thing that gives me pause. Everything else, I kind of like the home underdog. And I got to ask you, these two teams played last year in Happy Valley. Penn State won. It wasn't as convincing. I thought that they were significantly better than Auburn last year. Auburn had a lot of issues on their roster last year. And Penn State only won that game by maybe 7 or 8 points. It was a close game throughout. Raphael, how much do you factor in revenge as a motivation when you're looking at these games? Auburn went up there and lost last year. Now they're home dog. They get them in their place. They're going to have their fans, their environment. How much do you factor in revenge when you're handicapping?
A little bit. I looked at this game and I was actually kind of scared of Penn State because they're 1-6 against the spread against SEC schools, and they play SEC schools pretty much from bowl games or something like that last year. I do believe it was 28-20 or 27-20 was around that frame on that one. So I do kind of see where maybe the revenge factor is there, but like I said, I didn't pull the trigger on any of this because I was leaning towards Penn State, but it's really hard. I hate to say this. It's really hard for me to bet a Big Ten team against an SEC team because Big Ten always struggles against SEC schools. Except Sunbelt just whoops up on SEC.
Auburn, just because I think this is a must-have for the coaching staff. Not to go too deep in the weeds, but that basically the boosters tried to stage a coup in the offseason to get rid of Harsin. Was not successful. They kept him around. He knows he's pretty much coaching for his job this season. And this would be a huge marquee win to kind of beat back some of those people calling for his ouster. I think this is a tremendous game. I think they're going to be very focused. I think we're going to get to see the best of Auburn. Whether or not that's good enough, we'll see. But that's all of that motivation with the revenge and it being a must win and playing, the Big Ten SEC stuff. It's enough for me to look at the points with the home dog. So another home dog, and we're staying in SEC country, which I know you love, Raphael, but this one's nearby to you. This one's near and dear to you. We got Mississippi State heading down to face the LSU Tigers. LSU laid a whooping on some FCS fools last week. Mississippi State went on the road, beat Arizona. They've taken care of business. They've won and covered in both of their games this week. Raphael, what's going on down in the Bayou?
If I had cowbells, I'll be just banging them all over the place. I like Mississippi State. First of all, LSU's win last week should not count, period. The game against Southern, me and you can find guys that could probably score 14 points against that Southern. The only thing that LSU lost last week was against the bands. Southern's band was much better than LSU's band. That was it. I'm tired of these schools playing Albany and Southern and Nicholls State. That's the only thing I wish for these conferences to make one big mega conference, so we don't see the SEC play these weak schools that are able to count. No disrespect to Notre Dame. I don't see Albany or Southern on Notre Dame's schedule. Yeah, they lost to Marshall, but Marshall could have probably beat Southern by double digits last week. So I'm all about cowbells because I want LSU to be punished for what they did last week against Southern. So I say Mississippi State by 100.
You are close to because you're in New Orleans. What's your take on this LSU team? It's still kind of a weird dynamic going on down there. They have some talent. They have the new coach, new coaching staff, new system. Brian Kelly, look, the guy knows what he's doing, but you have to imagine it's going to take a little while for him to kind of clear out and get his recruits, his guys in there. What should we expect from LSU moving forward? I think that's part of the reason why this line is frozen where it is people still kind of don't know what to make of the Tigers. You're close to this team, so I'm sure you hear a lot down there. What should we expect?
6-7 wins this year, probably. I mean, they're not going to go to a major bowl. They're not going to win the SEC. I think it was a little hiccup for losing against Florida State because if you looked at their schedule and looked at the futures, people thought that was I don't want to say an automatic W, but you're playing in New Orleans, FSU's traveling, then you have Southern. So it's not like there was a lookout spot. It's not like they had a big monster school ahead of Florida State. So you figure, hey, take care of Florida State, beat Southern. Now you're 2-0. Getting into the meat and potatoes of your schedule. So that was a little hiccup on that one. But I just think there's not really big expectations. Now, big money's bet because let's face it. I tell people there's always money coming in on certain schools. LSU, Ohio State, Wisconsin's always a big bet school. USC is always a big bet school. You're always going to get that money, just like Gonzaga in college basketball. It doesn't matter who Gonzaga is playing. They could be playing North Carolina at Chapel Hill, but Gonzaga money will come in because there's just a big, heavy bet school. That's what LSU is. The number might be a little weird and stagnant because we're automatically going to get LSU money, just like we're automatically going to get Green Bay Packer money no matter who they're playing on that one. So money will come in on LSU just because they're LSU.
Now you mentioned Gonzaga, so let's take a little trip up to the Pacific Northwest. In the final game, we're going to discuss.
Do you like that little? Do you like that?
Wait, I'm the one who just made that transition. Like, come on, give me the props for that.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right.
All right. Michigan State is heading up to play Washington, and one of the bigger games of the weekend, really, for both schools. Michigan State has played its way into the top 10. Now, I think maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, Raphael. I don't think Michigan State's one of the 10 best teams in the country right now, right? But here they are, number 9, with a chance to get a marquee road non-conference win and further boost that resume and push them up in that conversation with Michigan and Ohio State for who's going to be the best team in the Big Ten. On the other side, we have Washington, okay? New coach trying to claw their way back to respectability after a few years of being a massive, massive underachiever. Washington is the home favorite in this game. Raphael, what are you looking at?
A lot of points being scored. If you had told me Michigan would have put up points how they would, I mean, they put 35 points in Western Michigan, but wow, they put up 52 against Akron. Washington's put up 97 points in their first 2 games. I can't believe we're gonna see a lot of offense in this one because the old Michigan State Spartan teams was always about defense, Big Ten football. But I think whoever wins this one could put up 40 plus points on this one. I do like Washington. This one. Could this be Washington's audition to maybe move into the Big Ten? There's rumors that they want to go there with Washington and Washington State. I still think Oregon State goes to the Big Ten. Washington State goes to the Pac-12. I mean, the Big 12. But this could be an audition tape for them. That's why I think they beat down on Michigan State. I agree. Michigan State is not the top 10 team in college football right now, and they get exposed. I like Washington in this spot. They're at home. A very weird spot for Michigan State for a travel game.
All right, Raphael, before we let you go, you got to give the people something free. You got a free play for them this weekend?
I'm going to take the over in Ohio State-Toledo game. Ohio State's going to put up probably 60 points close to themselves. I think Toledo puts up 14, 17 points, maybe some ugly touchdowns and all that. I just think the total should have been like around 64, 65. So I'm going to take Toledo, Ohio State over. Heisman touchdowns for this game.
All right, I am going to go with one of the games that we discussed, and I like Mississippi State. I think this team is really
Cowbells.
good, really under the radar. There's two things I know about Mike Leach. Number one is that he is a stone cold weirdo, like QAnon crazy weirdo. That's number one. Number two is the guy can coach. Okay, he can coach. He's been successful. He's had great offenses. He's had very good teams everywhere he's been. He has 9 returning starters and a 3-year starting quarterback at the helm. When he has that level of experience on offense, things usually go really well. The more I look at this Mississippi State team, the more I see them as a potential 10-win team. Mark my words, they're going to throw at least a scare into Alabama in that game in the SEC. I don't think they're going to roll LSU because LSU is so good at home. LSU does have some athletes that can kind of keep up with them, but I will be very surprised if Mississippi State does not win this game. So that's our free plays. He's Raphael Esparza. I am Robert Ferringo. Take advantage of that $60 free that we just gave you for listening to us prattle on, and make sure to check out some of our other football betting bonanza videos. Carpe diem and good luck.